Amanda. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Those eagle-eyed motorsport fans amongst you might have just noticed that Piers Honeyset, a British racer, a man who's actually had a lot of involvement in racing in Indonesia and in the whole of Asia recently, was in shot briefly as we spoke to Ananda Mikula. But just look at that wonderful support he's getting, and he's lapping it up.
Well, that's what Grand Prix of Nations is all about, the support from your home country. You know, it happens to drivers from different times in their careers, but to actually represent your country in your home country is something quite, well, it is new, it's exclusive to A1GP. That's the concept, and it's a wonderful concept, and the public respond. Look at that, when you see flags of all the nations of the world being worn, and pretty much every nation here has got a supporter, be it domestic or expat, in this audience. 50,000 people, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. If that gets confirmed, it's wonderful to see such a big crowd here in Indonesia. A country, oh, there's a gap there. Now that's where Portugal should be. That's interesting.
Well, Alvaro Parent clearly was not running at his normal level, and we never found out what that problem was, but clearly he's not on the grid, and well, the pit lane is now closed. He will have to start from the pit lane, like China, who of course have got a major problem. They're having to work on the gearbox, the transmission of their car. Either they'll just change the whole unit, or if it's something that they can repair quickly and easily, then just replace the parts that need replacing.
Now, South Africa was another one that had another problem, and they hopefully will get the car sorted out, or have got it sorted out, and get him ready to go, because as you mentioned, he was very rapid when he was lapping in that sprint race.
Yeah, unfortunately, starting so far back, he's going to have to be careful. He's got the pace and the speed, but he's just going to have to be patient. The opportunistic, but be patient. And we're just hearing from the pit lane that the problem with Team Portugal is they're having to change a clutch, which is, of course, meaning you split the engine from the gearbox. That in itself takes time. And also changing an upright in the car. Now, that's strange. Maybe there was contact with Portugal. We didn't, again, catch that maybe on our screen. So a lot of work going on in Team Portugal garage to get that car ready for this 36-lap feature race.
And there was another one. There is Alvaro Parent in the car. So it looks as though they are going to get it ready, we hope. And they've had an upright change, as you say, on that car. New tyres on it as well for the start of the feature race. A new set of tyres was issued to all of the teams for this feature race, up to them as to whether they start the race on the new set or use them after the pit stop. And just thinking about the pit stops a little bit, John, of course, we saw very early pit stops being made in Durban, but that was a different story because that was a street race. They were always expecting a safety car, and there wasn't the problem with tyre wear, putting a huge amount of the race on one set of tyres. That might be a different story here.
Yes, and also on a street track, the opportunities to overtake under normal circumstances are probably slightly less than they will be on a circuit here in Indonesia. But it's going to be a difficult call. To some degree, teams may be hoping for a wet race or part wet race, because that would have made the task of when they make their mandatory stop much easier. But now they're going to have to decide, first of all, are they going to start this race on a new set of tyres? We look at Portugal, they've got a fresh set, a brand new set on the car. Others will have used the remaining 3 sets they have, the best of that 3rd set. Will they put that on now and get an early stop, or will they run the new set and run as deep into the race as they can? And then, of course, we've still got the situation which we can never predict, and that is, if there is an incident, will the safety car come back out on track? And you may have made your strategy stop thinking you've done it perfectly, and it could be 1 lap later there's an incident, and all that strategy is just thrown out of the window because you will be a loser. And that's what makes pit stops and safety car issues impossible to predict.
Well, we're just a few moments away now, about 5 minutes away from the start of the formation lap on the feature race here. It is going to be 36 laps, so it is a good distance, and the teams are going to have to work hard to get that pit stop as clean as possible. So many times we've seen little problems occur, particularly if they make a later pit stop and everything has had time to build up that heat in the wheel hubs and suspension areas. USA a bit further back than they would like. Of course, they're going to have a different driver next time. Brian Herter will be driving for the United States in Mexico. Canada too will also be looking at having a driver with experience from Champ Car racing. That's going to be Patrick Carpentier. So a few different drivers are likely to appear when we go to Mexico. Now, it's time almost.
It's an honor being here in Indonesia, the largest Muslim country in the world. I would like to thank Mr. President for coming and supporting Indonesia and supporting A1 Grand Prix. And together we shall make this a great event. And next year, hopefully, we shall make it even bigger and better.
Saudara-saudara, alhamdulillah, ini peristiwa yang sangat besar. Saya datang dengan sepeda motor karena macet jalannya. Tapi tidak mengurangi semangat kita untuk menyelenggarakan A1 Grand Prix ini dengan sebaik-baiknya. Semoga Tuhan beserta kita. Jaya untuk Indonesia. Untuk kita semua.
So, President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, the President of Indonesia, saying a few words there, and he actually had to come in on a motorcycle.
Now, for the moment that you've been waiting for, I would like to say this has been one of the biggest events that we've had here after Durban. I would like to thank all the supporters from all over the world. 80% of the world population is represented here. And we hope to make it a great event.
So, everybody building up now to the start of the feature race, and it's been a lot of traffic around, so he had to come in on the motorcycle. And he says it's just great to enjoy the spirit here of A1 Grand Prix. And I think he gave a little presentation earlier in the week, and in that as well, he welcomed all of the different nations, and it's the spirit of A1 Grand Prix that he's enjoyed so much.
And certainly that spirit has been conveyed by the thousands of the fans that have made their way into the Sepang circuit. And I mean, really, just looking in the faces of everybody, the children, the adults, and all around the circuit, not even those that are inside in the grandstand. So it's a wonderful, just an uplifting atmosphere, that's all I can say.
Yeah, it is. It's been great fun so far, and let's hope it continues in much the same way as we go through the rest of the event here. Just waiting for the grid to clear. Apparently, yes, he said, long live Indonesia. That's also what he said to finish off his little speech there, and he got a tremendous reception from the crowd. Man who was elected president back in 2004. In fact, it was the largest one-day election in the world. And there he is, current president of Indonesia, visiting A1 Grand Prix here at the Sentul circuit. Now, we're just waiting for the teams to start moving away from the cars. We're just about a minute and a half away from the start of the formation lap. And everyone's in the mood now, building up towards the long race, the 36-lap race. And there is Alex Young, starting from fourth on the grid. A great effort. That's his best starting position, of course. Not from qualifying, but from where he finished in the sprint race. But from either way, he hasn't yet been on the second row of the grid. And Alex Young has every opportunity here to get a great result for one of the Asian nations.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nations, start your engines.
And the signal is given. The starters are engaged, and the V8 engines of all 23 A1 cars. I say 23, I hope that Portugal and China are going to make the start.
Well, there's 21 cars on the grid, 2 in the pit lane. So we've got Portugal and China who will start this race from the pit lane. They will not be allowed to start until the entire field leaves the grid and goes past the pit lane exit. At that point, then they can join in the race. So a great disappointment in particular for Portugal, a nation that's been very much a top-running nation, but also for China, who have done so well in the last 2 rounds. There you see the final 2 slots on the grid, just on the left of the grid. They are vacant for those 2 teams.
So let's just remind you, it's France and Great Britain who will start from the front row here. France, the winners of the sprint race earlier on. Great Britain, Robbie Kerr, who started from pole position, but couldn't fend off France's attack at the end of the first lap, and Lapierre was then able to open up a 6-second advantage. They've made changes to the cars. They're starting now on a full tank of fuel. There's no refueling in A1 Grand Prix, but there is a tyre change at some point during this race to come, and that could spell a disaster for some and joy for others.
Well, it's been very difficult for some teams. France in particular have generally enjoyed very, very good pit stop, but they see trouble in the back, and that is Austria.
Or Canada?
No, Canada maybe.
I'm not sure.
So one car stopped in the back of the grid as the field makes its way round turn one. Now that car will have to be removed. Oh, he's got it going. Well, I don't know why he's. Mind you, at the back of the grid, he didn't have any reason to go with the field, but maybe there's a mechanical problem we're not aware.
Well, he's got it fired up, and this is how they are going to start the 36-lap feature race here. It'll be France on pole position, and remember, they've won $1.5 million through their results in the feature races so far this season. Can they add another $300,000 this time? Great Britain alongside them on the front row. Then it's Mexico and Malaysia. On the third row, Switzerland's Neil Yarni and Ireland's Ralph Furman. On row 4, the Netherlands, Jos Verstappen with Matt Halliday from New Zealand. Then Japan, Hayanari Shimoda, and the Czech Republic, Thomas Enger. On row 6, we've got Ananda Mikula, the local hero, and Timo Scheider of Germany. Row 7, Matthias Lauda and Max Busnelli of Italy. The USA on row 8 with Phil Giebler and Marcus Marshall of Australia alongside. Then it's Lebanon and India. Portugal, supposedly, but they'll be starting from the pit lane. Brazil starts 20th. South Africa starts 21st. China also starting from pit lane, if at all. And Canada's Sean McIntosh, who had a little bit of a scare there, moving away on the formation lap, but it does seem to have fired up okay, and he's ready to go. Just looking out of the window, out of our commentary box, and Portugal is lined up beneath us, so they will definitely make the start.
So China's still in their garage, not able to get that car repaired. They may, once they get the car repaired, go back out on track. But the field now makes its way. There is the Portugal car, but as the field now makes its way up, out of turn 9 up to turn 10, there's China still being worked on. Well, that car has a lot more work to do than we had anticipated. The view from Bobby Kerr starting alongside France on the front row of the grid. France on the advantageous side, that's the left side of track as they look at turn 1. Bobby Kerr for Team GBR on the inside, but again, watch out for Salvador Duran, who will be starting directly behind France. He's going to try and take advantage to sweep through turn 1 and take away that second place from Team GBR.
All to play for then. France, of course, the series leaders by a big margin. They've now had 11 wins out of the 22 races that will go to make up A1 Grand Prix. This is, in fact, the 16th race of the series, but there's little catching France at the moment. They're not going to be wrapping it up here, though. There's no way they can actually have enough of a points advantage leaving this race to wrap up the title. They're still going to have to work on it when they go to the next round at Mexico. Let's just see what they can do here.
And everybody coming down the left-hand side of the straight, and only at the last minute making the cut across to get onto their grid position. Robbie Kerr now coming up into that grid position. It's a staggered standing start. So unlike the rolling start where everybody came down side by side and at a sort of nominal pace, it is a standing start, and just the judgment between clutch, throttle and ultimately wheel spin, or lack of it in some cases, and the potential to stall, that makes these standing starts such dramatic moments in any motor race.
So France going for another victory, trying to make it 12 wins. Great Britain still looking for their first victory. Brazil, Switzerland and the Netherlands, other A1 Grand Prix race winners so far this season. Are we going to see a new winner? Remember, Malaysia starting right up there on the second row of the grid, and what an amazing result it would be if Alex Young could come through and take victory after borrowing the nose cone and front wing of Indonesia. Green flag from the back of the grid, and we're all set to go racing in the feature race at Sentul. The lights go out, and away goes France. Good start, Mexico in trouble. The slow start, Mexico, and Great Britain. Great Britain on the attack and takes the lead. Robbie Kerr takes the lead, and Malaysia attacking the second.
Nose work out on contact in turn 1. We've seen 2 cars contact, and Japan is one of them, and it looks like Indonesia is the other.
Indonesia is off, oh no!
And the Czech Republic as well involved in that incident. But what a great start from GBR. They've taken the lead of the race once again. Malaysia, look at Verstappen, dives through into second place. Can he stay on track? He's just run wide, but he gets back alongside Malaysia. But it's what a start for Verstappen.
Great Britain leads, Malaysia in second place, the Netherlands in third under attack from Switzerland. And what about France? Really struggling here. What's going on?
They just simply got out position, elbowed out of the way. But look at the Netherlands going side by side with Switzerland. Regained, but in a dive into turn 3, got Verstappen into second. He lost it, he's back up to third. But France is the team that really were the big loser, from pole position down to 5th position now.
Well, Great Britain has got a huge opportunity here, and Robbie Kerr is just going to get his head down and try and open up this advantage. He started second on the grid. You know, before this race, the safety car.
Well, that should have boxed them all back up. The advantage that Robbie Kerr created for himself and Team GBR has just vanished in the space of what took place. 3 cars in turn 1, and now the cars going into the pits. Now, is that for damage or is that going to be for a pit stop? They're not really meant to change in the opening lap.
No, that's right. They're meant to cross the line at least once before they make their pit stop. That's the only condition. It's Switzerland. Presumably there's damage on that car.
Well,
Italy coming in as well.
Italy as well. So 2 cars come in. Whether it is damaged, certainly they're not allowed until they've made 1 lap across the start-finish line before they can come in to make a change. Switzerland straight into the pits. Just looking at that front suspension, he's driving through.
I think he may have just thought he could make a pit stop early or something, I don't know, and has been told by the team, no, get back out there. Well,
Indonesia.
Yeah, they were the one involved in that accident down the first corner, weren't they? And the fans, they can't quite believe what's happening. They want their man out there, but it's not looking good.
So the car doesn't look damaged. You can see there Japan's car is damaged. It's against the wall. And the Czech Republic got involved in that mix some way as well. The wheels come off the back of Portugal.
Mexico. I think it was Mexico's wheel.
Sure, Mexico and Portugal just got a quick glimpse. The right rear wheel detaches. The wheels just bounce just off to the left of picture. And 3 wheels on my wagon will hopefully get back to the pits. But whatever happened to that car? There it is.
Well, it's the tyre that's come off.
It is. That's a tyre. What has happened is the front wing of another car has clipped the back of Mexico's right rear, and it has literally just shredded the tyre. That's a problem that happens from time to time. Let's look and see. There's well, you can see that's the tyre, not the wheel. That's the tyre detaching from the sidewall of the tyre, and that has been caused by contact front wing to rear tyre. And what bad luck for Mexico. The only good news is they're under a safety car. Big damage to the left front of Japan's car.
Yeah, Hayanari Shimoda out of the car. I think he's fine. It wasn't a hefty clout, but sadly his race is over. And look, poor Mexico, Salvador Duran desperately trying to get back to the pits because they can try and get that car with another rear wheel on it, but it's going to be a tough call to get it all the way back. Safety car leads them around. Let's just quickly update you the positions. It's Great Britain, Malaysia, Netherlands 3rd, France 4th, Ireland 5th, then Germany, Austria up to 7th. He started 13th, then USA up into 8th place, India 9th, Canada 10th. It's complete change.
Problem for New Zealand, the left front has been down. I mean, there must have been a lot of contact. We didn't quite see what happened in turn 1 because we were so focused. Here's the start. This is what we were focused on. But look, in Indonesia and Japan side by side, 3 cars side by side, Czech Republic, Japan, and you get a squeeze, 4 cars in fact, because I think maybe Australia, there was Germany was the 4th car. 4 cars into one corner just don't go.
And I tell you what it was New Zealand that clipped the back of Mexico, John, you were right. It was a front wing to rear tyre that cut the tyre on the Mexican car, and now they're allowed to make pit stops.
Everybody can come in and make that mandatory pit stop, but what a 34 laps to go, 1 set of tyres. Big shot. This may well not be so bad for New Zealand and for Portugal, both of whom have got tyre problems.
Yeah, so they almost have to come in at this stage. Mexico are trying to get that rear off. They've got it off. I thought it might be a problem.
Well, and there's a new set going on, so Mexico opted to go on a used set. So Germany's out.
Good stop.
Very good indeed. And Canada and USA side by side. Canada's going to get squeezed over that white line. And that may be a penalty for Canada. It is not permitted to go over the white line. Could say force majeure, but the responsibility is with the driver. If he feels he's going to be forced out, then he should have backed off and made sure he didn't. In the circumstances under a safety car, it may be ignored. But there's problem nose cone. There was a nose was rubbing on that left front, and they've had to replace that. They had to replace the left front tire, and that Haverday clearly stuck in the pits, and he will be on the end of the chain of cars. That nose thing, you see the pneumatic air gun. He needs to get out very quickly, because if he goes a lap down, then that is really pretty much the end of the day in terms of any chance of getting into points for New Zealand.
I hear the lights going out in the safety car, so you're right, he's going to have to be quick to get that car. He's back out.
It's going to be very close. He's on the speed limit, 60 kilometers per hour down the safety car. Still, it's only coming out of turn 9, so New Zealand will be back at the races, but he'll be virtually 3/4 of a lap down. He's just gone past our commentary position as Ananda Mikkola gets running again. He is at the tail end of that chain of cars. He may have only had a stall because he came to a stop, and that's been.
So here we are, ready for the restart in the early stages of the feature race, and Great Britain leads them away. Malaysia in 2nd place, the Netherlands in 3rd, and then France in 4th.
It's France and the Netherlands we've got to keep an eye on. Netherlands have got a quick car. You can see the advantage they got coming off the final turn. Down into turn 1, he's going to look one way. He decides, be prudent, just wait, don't try and do too much too early.
An attack from South Africa, and they gain a place there. Stephen Simpson in the background gained a position.
Watch into turn 3, because this is where Verstappen tried that manoeuvre on the opening lap, but 3 cars, 1, 2, 3. Look at France right behind the Netherlands trying to squeeze by. Netherlands get through, France can't quite make it. They glue the nose.
There's contact.
Contact. He tried to go down the inside. There was no way to get through. France, the nose is off the car. He's going to go into the pit lane, and this is not going to be another big one. Bodywork everywhere.
France in trouble in the feature race here, and Nicolas Lapierre's lost his front wing. He's got to get back to the pits. Bits of bodywork all over the place. The others are trying to avoid.
Well, that's going to be bad for everybody, because there'll be carbon fiber shards from turn 4 all the way through 5 and up into turn 6.
So Great Britain leads, the Netherlands in 2nd place, Malaysia in 3rd, Ireland now up into 4th place. They've not made their pit stops, of course. Some people have. And that was
Czech Republic, I think, bouncing across the gravel in turns 8 and 9.
No, it's France.
It is indeed. No way of turning into the corner, no grip. Well, Nicolas Lapierre, the coolest of the Frenchmen, in my view, he lost his cool in turn 3. He was far too ambitious in trying to take that place away from Malaysia.
Well, it's at some point they had to go, the bandwagon had to fall off the rails, I suppose, and it's happened here for France as he struggles to make it back into the pit.
Look at the front, and is it Austria? Look at the damage. The bodywork, in fact, his bodywork is lodged at the top of the front wing of Austria. Matthias Lauda running all the way up in 5th place.
Yeah, Austria in 5th, that's right, John. He hasn't made his pit stop yet. Battle there between Italy and Germany for 10th place. Italy currently in that position. Australia's not far behind in 12th. USA in there in 13th position, but they have made their stop. USA and Australia have made their stop.
Now, there's the problem I was pointing out. There's bodywork, and of course, the bodywork is supports the foam that makes up the front nose ring in these cars, but there's these fine shards of carbon fibre that are absolutely a nightmare for rubber and tyres.
You remember, you might notice Canada crossed the line on the on the exit of the pits, John. He's going to be given a drive-through penalty.
Yes, I mean, it is in the hands of the driver. If he thinks he's going to get squeezed to back out, that's maybe immaturity in the part of Sean McIntosh. It's a shame. He is a driver, and I think he's done a sound job, a very good job throughout the year. France gets that nose eventually replaced, but they're going to go basically, well, not 1 lap, maybe 2 laps down.
Yeah, this is going to be a French double this weekend, that's for sure. They might have won the sprint race, but they are not going to win the feature race. Can they pick any points up from it? That's what their aim is now.
Well, this is going to be a battle of one coming down. South Africa very strong, trying to get past Lauda. Lauda made a move one way. He runs wide at turn 1, and that allows Stephen Simpson to sweep through as we see France getting back out on track just ahead of India. And Indonesia again looking at that being challenged coming down into turn 3.
Portugal on the move there, and they're also taking the place from Austria. He's got that bodywork lodged in the front wing. Portugal started from the pit lane, and now they're up into 6th position, 6th place. There's the drive-through penalty for Canada.
Well, that's all down to having that safety car come out. America spun down at turn 3, so Bill Giebler got it wrong. That may have been a challenge going into turn 3. That's the normal reason we see cars going off. They go off on their own, it's simply because they're just overdriven. Phil Giebler was involved in a battle with Australia and Brazil. There it is.
That was the earlier. This is the French one.
Yes,
yeah, that was when he tried to follow Verstappen through, and it didn't come off.
There was no chance in the world. Alex Schindler was never going to concede because France was not in the position to try and take it away. They stuck the nose down the inside, and did they ever pay the penalty?
So positions, Great Britain leads from the Netherlands and Malaysia. France have now rejoined right at the back, of course, having had that nose cone change, and he's trying to get past Lebanon. Basil Shaban at the wheel of the car at the moment. Ahead of them is Matthias Lauda. Lebanon is running in a genuine 8th place at the moment.
And I tell you, Lebanon has always been quick for some reason down straight, and Shaban is very, very good in the brakes, late in the brakes. And look at France with a car that is a fundamentally quicker car. He still defends his position, legitimately so. It is up to Lapierre to find a way past. Now he's got a chance going into turn 3, but remember, Shaban for Lebanon is excellent on the brakes.
He is, and he's fighting his position, but here comes Lapierre. He actually goes around the outside. Now, of course, from Lebanon's point of view, in a way, it's not worth battling too hard with the French car, because the French car is a lap down on them, and he's just trying to get back onto the lead lap and going for it flat out. Now he's going past Lauda.
So Lapierre makes one more position. Lauda with the bodywork from Lapierre's nose, still caught on that wing. As Netherlands running 1.3 seconds just behind Team GBR. Robbie Kerr doing a 1 minute 19.6, which is a very good pace. Remember, the fastest lap in the first race, 1 minute 19.4. There is a point here for the driver who gets the fastest lap for his nation.
Germany currently running in 11th place, behind them Australia, and then it's Mexico. Mexico had that punctured tyre, remember, had to come into the pit, but they have made a pit stop. And interestingly, quite well up of those who've made a pit stop. That was the spin for USA.
Yeah, we didn't quite catch the beginning of it. I suspect that was just down to a driver just slightly too quick into the corner.
So, Robbie Kerr for Great Britain continues to lead, an advantage of 1.4 seconds over the Netherlands. Here's the battle, Indonesia trying to get past India, but not for position, because he's a lap behind.
And look, the Czech Republic going way, way wide, going past, trying to get past Switzerland.
So, Ananda Mikula does go past the Indian car, but India stays in 10th position for the moment. France has got off
again. There's some three cars off in turn 6. So France goes off. Whether it was a sympathy on the part of other drivers, well, that is all over. Basel, Japan, Lebanon. Basel, forget it. You are a boat. You're beached. The wheels are up in the air, and the belly of the car is sitting there on the rocks.
Safety car is being prepared, it's on standby, and this could be the opportunity for a lot more pit stops coming up. I wonder if they'll choose this moment to come into the pits. Everybody in the pit lane will be working out their strategy now as they think ahead. Ananda Mikula, of course, for Indonesia, is a lap down on everybody else, but he's going quickly, and safety car out. Oh my goodness, this is interesting. Great Britain stay out, but Netherlands and Malaysia go in the pits.
Well, you know, it's up to you, up to your team to decide. Great Britain, they must have a good balance in that car. They feel that maybe this will work to their advantage. We saw what Brazil did back in Durban 2 weeks ago. They were disadvantaged at the start of the race. They stayed out in the hope that there would be something that would work to their advantage. But I think what the Netherlands have done and Malaysia have done is right. They've come in, they're going to choose the second safety car situation to put on those fresh tyres, and this could well be a strategy that sees either Malaysia or the Netherlands win here the second race, the feature race in Indonesia.
Well, let's just see who gets out first of these, John. That's going to be crucial.
Malaysia's moving, but the Netherlands, we saw the problem with one of the rears. There's noise below us, and the Netherlands have gone, waiting for the Malaysia to come down the pit lane.
So the Netherlands have gained from that over Malaysia, and they were in front when they came in, but they gained more time relatively. And Ireland had a pretty good stop. They come out, but again, don't gain anything.
So everybody will punch up behind the safety car when they complete the laps. This whole thing will go. Ananda Mikula is still in the pits, and you can hear the crowd. They're just distraught to see their hero stuck in the pits. And look, hands up, I can't do anything. Select gear, a new set of tyres for Indonesia.
Well, that at least gives the fans something to cheer about, that he's back out there. And finally he goes under the circuit, and the flags wave again in the grandstand.
Yeah, just looking at his right front wheel, it looks to me like it's actually towing out. It's difficult to get a clear picture of it, but it looks slightly odd angle, and maybe that was the consequence of the contact in turn 1 with those three cars, Japan, Czech Republic and Indonesia.
Safety car therefore leads Great Britain. Now South Africa also didn't stop. Netherlands did. We saw Portugal haven't yet stopped. They started right from the pit lane, remember. So they're up there on merit, but they will still have to make their pit stop. And of those that have stopped, of course, the Netherlands now in an interesting position. They had a very good stop, but we saw a number of other teams make an early stop. I want to just see how they all come out relative to one another. They're just coming across the line now. And I think Italy's going to be in good shape. Yes, Italy is in very good shape. They were one of the early stoppers, remember. They're now 4th, India 5th, Germany 6th, Mexico 7th, Australia 8th, then Czech Republic, Austria, Brazil, Switzerland. So the Netherlands has actually rejoined back down in 15th position.
Yes, it's GBR, Team Great Britain with Robbie Kerr. They've chosen to stay out. South Africa, who've come all the way from midfield, back in the field, not making a pit stop in second place. Portugal, who had all sorts of problems and had to start from the pit lane. Matthias Lauder sort of staggers to start, having come in and had that bodywork removed, the bodywork of Team France's car, as Ananda Mikula comes down to try to catch up to the tail of the chain of cars. Austria back on track, so it's a real gamble, a punter's race once again. But GBR, particularly having starting on the front row of the grid, taking the lead. As we see Lebanon's car being trained away. It's going to take probably another couple or so laps before this race does get back under green flag conditions.
Well, it's all about track position, they say, with pit stops, and that's why it's worth making an early pit stop. And it certainly has worked out that way at the moment, because those who have stopped have got an awful lot of work to do. Those who stopped just in that last safety car, I mean. This was a replay of that incident. several things going on at the same time.
Well, Baz, I mean, what can you say? He provides great entertainment there. We see France off again, bunching through the gravel trap. This is the incident. 3 cars went off track. Everything's calmed down
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, it needs a little bit of calming down. France 19th now in terms of position. Different place in the queue there. Now there's the opposite stuff. You can see the Netherlands car, but he is all the way down in 15th, having made that stop. Malaysia 16th, Ireland 17th, New Zealand 18th. And the race being led, of course, still by Great Britain, South Africa second, Portugal third. Then it's Italy, and Italy is the top car to have made a pit stop, currently running 4th, with India running in 5th place, John.
Well, I mean, you can never predict, and this is going to be probably, of all the races that we've been to, the 16th race out of 8 rounds that we've been to, that is going to be probably the most difficult of all to predict. Even South Africa and Durban, we couldn't predict that Jos Verstappen would take the lead in the final lap, halfway around that final lap and win the race. This one's going to be one of those.
Another view of the spin for Phil Giebel, USA now running in 12th. Ireland still going around, just watching at the thing to see, yes, Austria, of course, has dropped down now. Well, what is Great Britain's plan, I wonder? They haven't come into the pits. Maybe we can find out more from Ken Bowes. Let's go to him.
Ken, it's an interesting tactic. Why have you decided to leave Robbie out on track and not bring him in yet?
To be honest with you, we didn't decide to do that, but I have a feeling, we'll only know when we talk to him afterwards, I have a feeling he was beyond the point where he could dive into the pits when the radio call went out for him to come into the pits.
So you told him to come into the pits and he stayed out?
Yeah, but we think he appeared on the pit straight almost immediately after the radio call went out, so I think he was too far round the corner and not able to dive into the pits when the radio call came out. And at that point, obviously, he wasn't aware there was a safety car because you couldn't see it.
So how long till you bring him in?
I think you can probably guess roughly halfway through the race. In terms of performance, that's the right thing to do. If there's another safety car period, that might change. If it rains, that might change. But we're in good shape. You know, obviously the main competitor in terms of performance is France, and they've obviously had a bad day today. And I think he's a tenth or two per lap faster than everybody else. So we're still reasonably comfortable.
Ken, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
The big trouble that GBR have now got is that the cars behind the safety car, there it is, light is out. Between 1st and 17th place, it is 17 seconds. The calculation of the time that's required to enter the pit lane, make your stop as an average of the pit stop, get back out, is somewhere in the regions of 30 to 35 seconds. Now, Robbie Kerr's got to get the hammer down and extend his advantage as much as possible and hope that those behind hold up those that have maybe done their pit stop and they're in a position to run to the finish. It is a big, big challenge for Robbie Kerr. If he's ever got to get his head down and think of his nation, this is the moment.
And he's chased by South Africa as the race restarts. It's Great Britain, South Africa, Portugal third. And South Africa, Stephen Simpson's not going to give up this one easily or lightly. France, meanwhile, trying to gain some of that lost lap. They've just passed Italy. Italy, remember, is the first car which has made a pit stop. It's the top car that has already